Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with...
Elizabeth Helly.
And...
Tyler Hymanson.
And we have finally arrived at our third film. Our first third film.
First third!
First third.
Rule of threes.
Today we will be taking a look at An American Tale, The Treasure of Manhattan Island, and why don't we get right into it?
Coming soon on video.
An underground tunnel system built centuries ago.
Come on! What are you, afraid?
Who, me? Yes.
The adventure too big for one movie continues.
This is a treasure map.
Treasure?
I'm getting a real sinking feeling.
When Fievel, Tiger, and all their friends return. In an all-new, full-length animated feature.
You have a cat with you.
I'm thinking of converting.
Explore the mystery.
You've shown us all your world. We could show you ours.
Join in the fun.
Now, when you guys sat down to watch An American Tale, The Treasure of Manhattan Island, did you think that you'd be sitting down to watch a serious film about what it means to be an American and the plight between unions and corporate structures?
And so many other things.
Corporate fat rats?
Corporate fat rats.
I was going to say fat cats, but...
Eminent domain. No, in this movie, the rats are indeed just rats and not cats.
Speaking of rats, I know we're just diving in here, but is this the first time we've actually seen rats in the movies?
Yes.
Real rats, yeah.
Yeah, because the other one, like, the guy looked
Pretending
like
to
a
be.
rat, but he was actually a cat.
Right.
That was the first movie.
That was the first movie. I actually have this. I actually have this in my notes as Fievel Takes Manhattan. And so when you were saying the title, I was like, did I watch the wrong movie?
Okay, I also, before we get too far here, I think, if I'm remembering correctly from the last episode, I think my prediction was correct. That they would just totally retcon the previous
No,
film.
you're absolutely right, and they do it in the most egregious way possible.
I loved it. I loved it.
What? No,
I laughed so hard.
This breaks sequel law.
Hot take, I loved it.
Hot take, you love it. So here's what happens. Fievel comes bounding out, and first there's a musical number that's like...
That nobody cares about.
That nobody
Next.
cares about, and it's like, oh shit, this is actually a musical.
No, that musical number was like, immigrants, we get the job done, okay?
What was it called? It was called We Live in Manhattan or something?
Yes, it was called that.
I mean, my note says, oh, this is a goddamn musical.
Well, I was actually surprised that... I was impressed immediately that they kept up with the musical stuff, because at this point... I immediately was like, wow, okay, first thing that it's in like 4:3 aspect ratio, and I was like, what? Is this how it is on the DVD?
Right.
Like, we're watching it on Netflix. Shouldn't it be the full...
This movie came out in 1998, by the way.
This film is not, has not been adjusted to fit your screen.
It came out in 1998 in the UK, and then, so that's probably why, and then they had to bring it out in 2000, it's stateside.
Also,
straight to video.
The animation looks as if it was an episode of like the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man or like Rescue Rangers.
Yes,
Spider-Man.
it was
Like the Rescue Rangers, Rescue Rangers B team.
Or it also reminded me of like
Fox
a
Morning
lot of
Saturday
anime.
Pictures.
Getting back to the point of Fievel comes bounding out after this song. Papa Moskowitz is like, oh man, I'm weary because capitalism. And Fievel's like, Papa, I had the most amazing dream. We lived in the Wild West, and Jimmy Stewart gave his last performance. But let's throw that out the window.
And he's like, shut the hell up, Fievel, you're a stupid
He's
idiot.
like, life's hard. Stop pretending.
Dude, Papa Moskowitz is a dick in this movie.
He sucks. But like they completely throw out An America, Fievel Goes West.
Yeah.
They completely just say it was all a dream.
He's like, it seemed pretty real to me.
Which I think is egregious.
I was a fan.
Elizabeth, why did you like it? Why did you like it?
I did not like that second movie, and so I thought throwing it out was good, and I thought overall, and we'll get to this, that the character development in this movie actually these characters grew, whereas in 50 Goes West, they did not.
Don't do this.
I'm doing it.
Don't do this. Like, because in my mind, like, that's a thing that's like a cardinal sin of sequels, of doing storytelling in that way, where you just say, you know what, like, that thing that happened, like, fuck all that. And then you were also the proponent of Tony. Tony married that girl. Apparently not.
No, that wasn't me. I said that was not canon. It was Justin that said it was canon.
It was canon until this movie came out.
He dreamed it happened.
So Tony, Bridget is completely gone. She's not in the movie.
We got several emails from listeners that agreed with me. Don't know that.
Shush.
Nobody knows that.
We have dozens of fans.
We've got tens of dozens of fans. We have fans, all right?
Yeah.
Trust me.
But even though, so I did not like that second movie, and, like, a hot take, I like this movie a lot more. And I know you guys are gonna, like, lose your minds. But also, can we say that after the first movie, I predicted that there would be a 50 movie about the plight of the Native American, and there was. It just came
how
in the
could you have
third
even...
movie.
Okay, well, now, spoiler alert, there's Native American mice in this movie.
My bad.
Where they had to be like, alright, well, like, we're not in the West, but we still have more Indian jokes.
Also, spoiler alert, there's no treasure.
Yeah.
There is no treasure.
What is...
There is no titular treasure.
There was treasure. It just
What's
wasn't
the treasure?
First of all, the first version of the treasure was like that painting that shows the history of the mice
not a treasure.
people. And then the second treasure, super spoiler alert. The real treasure was hope.
Friendship?
Hope. Yeah,
How is it
Papa
hope?
No, the real treasure is organized labor. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're way ahead of ourselves.
We're getting ahead of ourselves.
But anyway, I liked the retcon. I was like, fine, bye, 50 Goes West. It was all a dream.
I think that this is something that I refer back to as a cardinal sin of sequels.
No,
for the rest of this podcast.
Like, I totally understand that it's a sin of sequels, but when you look at the overall franchise, I think it was a good choice to continue Fievel's story.
No, they could have like spent like 2 seconds trying to figure out...
They could have done it in a clever way.
Yeah, they could have figured out a way to get him back to Manhattan if they really wanted
also,
to.
This is a Native American story. Like, it could have very easily taken place in the West.
That's true.
Easily.
But they already kind of, like... made silly, like, caricatures of Native Americans in 50 Goes West.
And they do it again now.
I was going to say, they do it again in this...
bad. I would say it's a lot less egregious.
There is a line where the Mr. Smarty Pants museum rat... He's a rat, right?
Yes, he is.
Museum rat says, they were incorrectly referred to as Indians. And then the rest of the movie, they all refer to them as either Indians
or savages.
Savages, Indians.
Only
Indians.
the bad guys say that, though.
No,
that's not
that
true.
is not true.
Indians, yes. The good guys just say that they're Indians.
Even the people that are down there visiting them say they're Indians.
Because they know that they have to speak in the vernacular, or no one's going to know what the hell they're talking about.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. So what happens in this movie?
Okay, yeah, go back and explain it.
First of all, Papa Maskowitz is working a factory job.
He's so tired.
It's basically a cheese mine.
He also hates his kids.
He hates his kids. Yeah. Like there's basically almost a weird like social services moment where what's the sister's name?
Tanya.
Yeah. Where Tanya. Yeah, don't help Tanya. Where he like it's this dark moment where he yells at her.
Somebody in the writer's room was like, I got this genius catchphrase. Every time Tanya... Everyone knows Tanya's fucking annoying as hell.
Yeah.
So every time she talks, we're going to have everyone go, Tanya, don't help!
Yeah.
And we're going to say it like 10 times.
Okay, so really quick aside on that. While this was happening, I was like, oh my god, they're treating Tanya so bad over and over this, like, Tanya don't help thing. I'm like, they're basically treating her like Meg from Family Guy. Like, that's how lame she is. And then I looked it up, and Tanya was played by Lacey Chabert in this movie. And I was like, oh my god, it's all connected.
That's hilarious.
So anyways.
But, like, she had a freaking singing career in the last movie, and now she's reduced to being... The
annoying sister. Yeah.
Well, by the end, she makes good-er.
They begrudgingly allow her to go on the adventure.
I feel like that all the things you like about this are like half measures of things that like they were like, this is a good idea, but they don't follow through with it whatsoever. I think that so what's happening here is that Tony is like short round to a rat archaeologist.
Tony to Pony.
Yeah, so Tony's back.
Hey, Philly.
Yeah. Hey, Philly.
He's moved on from Bridget completely. We don't know what happened to her.
Right.
She left.
Also,
she probably died in some sort of freak cheese factory accident.
Yeah. Tiger is around, and my note says, what ghost is now playing Tiger? But it actually is still Dom DeLuise.
Yeah.
But he does not sound well.
Well, I don't know what you guys thought, but I thought that almost every single voice sounded like it was recorded in a bathtub.
Yeah, everything sounded...
Especially on the, when we get to our Somewhere Out There moment.
Yes.
That sounded really weird.
It sounded like they recorded it in a shower or something.
So, while we're on the subject of Dom DeLuise, him, Mama and Papa, and one other person were the only people that came back, who I now can't remember who the fourth person was. But
because the voice of Fievel had aged out at that point.
Oh, yeah, it was some new kid that
they replaced him with the kid that was then playing Littlefoot in every single movie.
Thomas Dekker.
And this kid also went on to his most famous role is the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I think he was John.
I like that show.
Yeah. I do think that, the guy who played Papa, he must have been the only way I'm coming back is if you give me a bigger role in this movie. And I don't want to say Fievel 700 times.
Oh, sorry. The fourth person was Tony.
I did think that sounded like...
The mom of Mae Whitman came back.
I did think that sounded like...
Wait, I'm giving you a chance to say her?
Her? So...
Could you guys understand any of the character names in this movie?
Not really.
Every time someone was like, "Oh, Mr. Bulkling."
I couldn't.
Mr. Dillery.
Especially when people started getting nicknames, and we'll get to that. I have
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
I mean, the bad guys had really dumb names like Mr. O'Bloat and Mr. Rich Guy or something.
One of the bad guys, voiced by Ron Perlman, best part of the movie.
Yes, but which one?
No.
It's the fat one.
I couldn't figure out which one it was.
I'm sorry. The best part of the movie is the other evil guy who is voiced by
the dumb one?
Tony J, which I noticed within 5 words because he's the voice of my favorite character, Frollo, from Hunchback of Notre Dame. I noticed it within 2 words. I was like, oh my god, it's Frollo.
Oh god.
Justin hates that I'm obsessed with Hunchback and Frollo, but I have dressed up as Frollo and flown to Paris to run a half marathon, so that is how much I love Frollo.
No one's seen that movie.
Oh my god.
So the inciting incident in this movie is that Tony is interning for this Professor Rat, who's kind of I don't know, he's a professor.
He works at the Museum of Natural History.
His name is Dr. Dithering.
Yeah.
No wonder I couldn't tell what he was saying.
And he has the most the note that I have about this movie, and let me see if I can find it, but it's I'm watching this movie with subtitles, but the subtitles are a scene before, because it telegraphs everything that's going to happen.
Why'd you watch it with subtitles?
I didn't watch it with subtitles.
Oh.
What I'm saying is that, it's beating you over the head with everything's about to happen.
I did watch with subtitles.
Because Dithering's assistant is the most blatantly evil.
Yeah, I thought for sure he was the main bad guy as soon as he showed up.
Scuttlebutt. The movie's just telling you, hey, it's not letting you figure out anything.
He's a typical long-suffering assistant of a dumb professor.
So there's a map that leads to an underground treasure.
Oh, by the way, they find the map in the pneumatic subway, which actually was a real thing.
I was wondering about that. I wanted to look that up, and then
I looked it up. It was a real thing.
I'll take a nap.
It was this guy, Mr. Beach, wanted it to be a real thing, and so he built one block of it, and they ran it as basically a ride.
So basically, what it is you're in an underground, the movie Philly and Fievel. Oh no, Fievel is Philly. Philly and Tony go on a weird. It almost felt if you've played. What's the Last of Us DLC?
The Last of Us again. We're still here. No, what is it called? I don't know.
But when it's two of them and it's it's the same section. It feels like they're on a date this whole time. While they're
going to the mall.
Yeah.
Tony is supposed to be going to work at the cheese factory, by the way,
right?
Where Papa Mouskovitz.
Yes, he left that. So, but they're down in this abandoned subway thing, and then this subway is air-powered, which is the pneumatic thing you're talking about, and which is crazy, and, Mr. Beach will be happy to know that they tested Hyperloop successfully this weekend.
Yeah.
But So they're in like this abandoned thing, and the vibe of it is almost this Indiana Jones type. We're spelunking, like we're going through. Like it has this adventure.
It turns into
story.
this like Uncharted film.
Yeah. It has this weird. I mean, it's fun. Like I didn't dislike it. But yeah, it has like a Raiders of the Lost Ark type feel. And so then they find the basically. Oh, there's a super dark joke. So like the thing gets activated. Tony falls through like a crack and like falls below the track into like the cavern that's beneath this Mr. Beach's pneumatic magical fucking subway.
Yeah.
And Fievel's like, "Oh, like Tony, wake up." And he's like, "Oh no, like I'm in a dark space. There's a shaft of light in front of me. I'm dead.
We're dead, Philly.
We're dead." Yeah. It's like, and this is after, like, this movie's not made for children at all because there's a musical number before this that's completely meta and self-aware.
Oh, also during that musical number, what I thought was hilarious. So the film starts out with the musical number, right?
We live in Manhattan.
We live in Manhattan. They're singing. The mice are like dancing, da da da. And then we like go into that. Excuse me. We go into that scene where inside the Malkovich house, where Fievel is like saying, "I had a dream about the West." And then they have some conversations, and then they leave the house. And as they leave the house, like the whole scene is like 4-minute scene. They leave the house,
still singing.
Yeah, it looks like the mice are like still in the middle of the song, like "We live in Manhattan."
We work all night and day.
Yeah. And I just also laughed during that part really hard. They just love to sing.
They love to sing.
But like you were saying, when Tony thinks they're dead, Fievel just matter-of-factly says, "Tony, we fell through a hole in the ground. We're underneath the tunnel." And then he's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
And then, Mouse Mummy.
Yes.
Yeah, for like 2 seconds.
It gets nuts. It's funny you mentioned Indiana Jones before, because it gets very, like, Indiana Jonesy when they go into this.
Well, that's...
Oh, wait, that's later. Yeah, they get the map, they go back to the professor.
Right.
And then when they come back, it's like... booby traps everywhere, skeletons. I thought that was actually kind of cool.
So there's kind of like two plot lines in this movie. There's like, we've got Papa and kind of the corporate mice at the cheese factory. And then we've got Fievel and, what was her name? Chopina?
Chopina, yeah. She's
Chopina.
the
Fievel, Tony, the doctor guy, and everyone who's going on this like treasure hunt into the temple. So why don't we kind of talk through the whole temple? Who's in the temple?
Right. So they get the map. Scuttlebutt goes down there. There's supposedly a great treasure underneath these things. That's what Dithering is looking into.
Yeah.
They get through this whole penitent man will pass type of booby trap gauntlet.
They get through it like I don't know how they survived that. There was it was like.
It's pretty gruesome. There's
it was
fire and like blades.
Every booby trap you've ever seen in one temple. It was like arrows, fire, spike floor.
All of them deadly. All of them deadly.
Like lava rocks or something?
Oh, yes, there was lava rocks.
Charcoal or some
This
sort?
is like the one, mildly interesting set piece that they have.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
It was fun. And then so they basically get to some cavern, some underground cavern, and they find a long-lost tribe of... I'm going to say Native American, but the movie calls them savage
And they immediately
mice.
go, "Oh my god, they're going to scalp us!"
That's just the bad guy, though.
Yeah, but...
Like, the bad guy is the ignorant guy, and Fievel gives them matzo ball soup as a peace offering.
Right? So here's my note. It's like, oh, you know what? We're going to get out of the West, but guess what? We still have some more Indian jokes, and let's throw a Jew joke on top of it.
Well, at least they, wasn't the complaint of many critics in the first movies that they didn't acknowledge their Judaism enough? And so this time they have matzo ball soup, and they have... I'm sorry, what is the name of the door thing? Yeah, the door thing. Papa...
I don't remember either.
Papa looks up at the sky like in a Fiddler on the Roof moment, and he's like, "Hey, a little help here to God."
Where are you?
Yeah.
So you're saying that makes it better?
No, I'm just saying this time they acknowledge their Judaism.
I was going to say they also...
With a stereotype?
Yeah.
Oh, like, here's the soup.
The soup is a stereotype.
I was like...
Yes! The door thing is not. That's just that's a thing.
I did like mildly like the fact that like while every single character who wanted to, was calling them Indians. They did like spend some more time like giving a bit more history about like how they were part of the Lenape tribe.
So
and, like,
the thing about
there was a little bit more.
This movie is crazy lefty. Like this movie is like
Yeah.
pro unions. Like there's blood on the hands of all Americans because we took things.
Yeah.
Like it's there on paper, but it rings false. It's like me sitting on my couch tweeting hashtag Black Lives Matter and thinking I've done it. Like I've done my part. Like it just like
this will reach the kids.
So there's a young Native American girl, and there's a scene where Fievel and them, they're underneath like the cavern and they're talking about these things. And
Don't you mean Chaluch?
No, her name is Cholina.
No, but
Fievel's name is Chaluch.
Yeah, Fievel's name is Chaluch.
Which I was like, if she said that one more time, I was gonna like flip out. It sounded so.
But then she starts singing in a white girl's voice, and an Aladdin ripoff. And, like, that's where I'm like, all right, well, you know what? Like, you might be setting this up in a way that you think that you're helping, but you're not.
I mean, it's
you
basically
can go anywhere
like,
in your dreams, Tyler.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
That happened shortly afterwards.
Fievel was, like, woke AF, you know? He's
kind of a dick to her.
Well, I mean, he's all depressed, and he has, like, hardcore white guilt, you know? And he's just like, if this is what the American dream means, then I want no part of it. And then she tells him, like, well, you know, I mean, it wasn't you personally that did it. And he's like, oh, okay. And then they sing the song.
Yeah. Not everyone's a horrible creep.
I like how he had
what do they call them?
hardcore white guilt.
The surface, what do they call them? The outsiders? No.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The uplanders? I don't remember.
Surface dwellers.
Highlanders.
Yeah. Something like that.
There can only be one. So,
I mean, okay, so basically...
They decide to do a Pocahontas thing. They're going to bring Cholina up and show her what's going on, and then she's going to decide if people up top are good enough now for the tribe to, like, come live among them.
Something like that, I guess.
well,
it's like...
Where's the treasure in this? Because
they go down there and they're immediately like, I don't care about no treasure anymore.
Right, but Scuttlebutt does.
There's hidden mice.
Right, there's hidden mice of the
Scuttlebutt
field.
Tries to steal stuff and gets caught.
And then that's why there's distrust. And then so like, oh, well, like nothing up there has changed. So that's kind of how that's, I guess, shakes out.
Yeah,
and then
so they take her up, and so they take her all back up to go check out the surface world now. And then why don't we jump to because now it's going to start to collide with other stories. So
right, so this whole time, Tony's been supposed to be working in the mine.
Yep.
And he dished work.
Or in the cheese factory.
Which is
so
it's kind of unclear of like how that's actually working. Of what...
It's a crazy Rube Goldberg contraption of cheese making.
He has to wrap the cheese for the mice to consume it. They're gonna make
but other people there's it's a whole operation.
Like
and
it looks kind of cool.
So there's 3 evil as fuck rat owners of this cheese mine. Like they do shit that Montgomery Burns didn't do.
They're twisting their, mustaches.
Like they're carried like on like a plinth by like 6 white mice and like white collar like servant's gear. They use people as pedestals.
Yeah,
like step on them to pop up on
You can audibly hear their backs breaking.
Yes, yeah. Like it's
when they
like,
step on them.
They are the most anti-capitalist.
And they have the police captain in their pocket, who is like this Irish guy that hates immigrants.
Who straight up beats a mouse.
Yeah, he beat
bloody
the crap out of people.
What's his name? Like McUnion Buster? Like
his name is...
It's an Irish name.
Mr. Oblot?
No, that's one of the guys.
It's Police Chief McBrusk. McBrusk.
Yeah.
Brusk? I don't know, something like that.
It's hilarious. So anyway... So Tony gets back, and he's late for work, and they're like, "Oh, you're late," like blah blah blah, and
we're not going to give you a week's pay.
No, they want to fire him.
Oh right,
they want to get rid of him, and then Papa Maskowitz comes up and acts pathetic, and basically says, "Well, he's so scared of you, like he won't,
better to be feared than loved.
It's better to be feared than loved, right? And then so the main fat rat agrees, like, hey, that's a good thing. And the line that he uses is, the Russian is right. Fear is a powerful tool.
Yeah, this movie, man.
That's the thing that's said in this children's movie.
I'm like, I don't know if it's just the time. I mean, this movie is like pretty.
98. No, it's like it's not the times.
No, I mean,
and it was made originally for the British.
No, I mean the times now where it's like I can't watch any movie without looking through a lens of what's going on right now.
Yeah.
But this movie in particular has some like prescient references and plot points that are just like wow.
Yeah.
So
wow.
And then the thing that I have is they start talking like the witches in Macbeth, like these three rats. they're like oh like you, but that rat got what he wanted from you by being so pathetic. Like you need to teach him a lesson. And they're like, who are we to say this? Who are we to stand in the way of the people? And what I have here is, who are we to completely describe the beast story? Because they're basically setting up like, oh, like he's so pathetic, he could never organize these mice. Spoiler alert, he's gonna organize these mice.
Yeah.
And they also have a villain song, so that like keeps
which is the best song in the movie.
It's a villain song.
It was like they were like half singing, half dancing. They were actually really good choreographed rats, actually.
Tony J. Hellfire.
What was the name of that song? It was called
Friends of the Working Mouse.
Oh,
Friends of the Working Mouse. And it's
We're Friends of the Working Mouse.
Friends of the Fun Mouse.
And it's sarcastic, and it's just about taking money from the little guy.
So Scuttlebutt,
Mitch McConnell be a fan.
Since Scuttlebutt is a traitor, he rats out the fact that they brought up Chelina to the bad guys.
No.
And then they start a race panic, basically.
That's the thing. Like, Scuttlebutt's not even a traitor. Scuttlebutt is a plant. Like Scuttlebutt is like...
He was working for them the entire time.
These rats are financing the research of dithering.
In case he finds anything...
In case he finds anything good, Scuttlebutt's there to...
Any treasure, you might say.
Any treasure.
No, he never finds that.
Never finds any of that.
Hope.
Not in this movie.
So Scuttlebutt comes back up from underneath the whole nonsense, and it's like, oh my god, there's savages underneath the town.
Barely even human. And then they start a big kill the beast panic. They start a angry mob, like being like, we gotta kill this one Native American girl before the Indians come up and overtake.
This is another example of the mice in these movies just going along immediately.
Yeah, with whatever anybody tells them.
I'll snap for you.
Immediately with whatever crazy plan, someone's like, oh my god, the Native Americans are gonna come and take our jobs.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what
they
Yeah, they're gonna take our jobs. And the mice are immediately like, let's riot!
Yeah, except, of course, Papa Moskowitz is like, no, this is why we left Russia, don't do this. So, all the angry mob captures everyone.
Oh, yeah, no.
Someone says, as this is happening, and everyone's running around, this is much further down in my notes, this is Russia all over again.
Yeah. I know, I wrote that down too. I was like, oh my
but I feel like that we're skipping some steps here because that happens, but they, like, some other things transpire first. Like, she comes up.
They disguise her in, like, regular clothes. They take her around. That's kind of... I mean, I thought it was cool that they showed the pigeons and the Statue of Liberty.
Oh,
again.
We do see...
They take her around and show
what's his
her
name? Henri?
Henri, yeah.
Henri finished building his goddamn statue.
Yeah, he flies around for a second and then you never see him again.
Yeah, they
I don't think that was Henri, though. I don't think it was.
To come back.
I don't think it was Henri.
Their pigeon friends take him around. They show her, like, the subway and a train and something. Coney Island. They take her to Coney Island.
I mean...
And then the angry mob comes.
Yeah...
What else are we skipping?
No, it's not about her skipping. Oh. I mean, Tony's, like, totally macking on...
Oh, yeah.
He just wants to have the sex
Same
with her.
thing.
He just wants to have the sex.
The whole movie, that's all he wants to do. He gets mad when Fievel goes off and sings a song with her by himself.
Oh, no, the thing that I feel like so they were trying to stand up to... So the cheese miners... the owners were trying to send everyone away, treat them unfairly, like, before, like, the Native American panic happens. Like, they have a problem with the workers that they're trying to solve.
Yeah.
And that's when, like, the union busting, like, there's a really mortifying scene
Yeah.
where the cops beat the shit out of some, like, worker mice.
Mm-hmm.
Till there's, like, blood involved and everything.
No, it's a low shot, it's like a silhouette, and you see, like, Officer McUnion Buster, like, crack heads with a billy club.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's kind of mortifying. And then it's through that unrest that they're like, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll make them scared of a native population, and we'll start a race war.
Race wars!
Yeah.
Race wars!
Race
Shit is
wars!
going
Race
down.
wars! Fast and Furious reference.
One of the rats says dissent is like a disease.
Oh yeah, that was very.
That is a thing that's said in this movie.
This is like a
It's like,
you
come
know,
on,
a
this is-
political theory class happening right here.
It's getting pretty dark.
So anyways, they capture the good guys except for Chelina, basically. But I found this really terrifying. They were about to throw Dr. Dithering into a meat grinder.
Right,
Yeah.
oh,
They
it's
got the
horrifying.
meat grinder going, and they were going to throw him in there just for existing, I guess, and for bringing the Native American girl to the surface.
Well, no,
which
he was trying to protect her.
Yeah, but a meat grinder? Oh my god!
I know. I was like, this is messed
Well,
up.
no, this movie goes beyond. It's not written for children. Like, it screams so much of college-educated white dudes in a writer room that it's, and they think that they're being so clever about it.
my thoughts
I
out.
gotta get my
Yeah.
thoughts out there, man.
My opinions.
And I feel like there's some really dark parts that do not fit with, and on top of all of this, let's say that this is something we haven't got to, that it feels so much more on, like, an Animaniacs, like, even, like, on the same thing with Five Goes West, where they're just doing, like, physical gag comedy.
Yeah, I feel like it was even worse, though, in Five Goes
No, it
West.
was. No, it absolutely
Oh, yeah.
was.
There's nothing inventive in this movie. It's just like...
No. But it's still trying to go for that same type of... It goes with the animation style, where it's that Saturday Disney afternoon,
Yeah.
where they're talking about... So it's like, hey, here's a joke where someone's holding a funny thing, or someone gets hit in the head, and ha-ha, but now here's a police chief beating the fuck out of a union worker.
Ha-ha,
Ha-ha.
right? Not ha-ha.
But... At the same time, the thing that I want to go back to, like, we kind of glossed over, like, the Indian thing. Like, it's a really cool, like, H.G. Wells, like, Journey to the Center Earth. Like, the concept's kind of really cool.
Yeah, I mean, the set
like
piece,
a lost civilization
the
type
temple, like, booby trap set piece is cool. And then I thought where they lived, that was kind of a cool set piece too, even though it doesn't make sense about how the plants grew.
I know, they were growing
but
plants.
other than that, like
I
the
don't know.
baskets and the rope and like the secret civilization, or I don't know, I thought it was kind of cool.
Also, the timeline of it's super fucked up, because then they're like, they were Native Americans in, like, 1902.
Yeah. Well,
No, this
they
is
isolated
in the 1800s.
themselves. No.
Beach built the,
in 1870. So
Oh.
well, still 30 years.
it ran from
Doesn't-
70 to 73. So yeah, it was pretty abandoned. So I guess it could have been.
Right.
Yeah.
They said it was like 12 years or something.
Okay.
Right. Still...
Whatever.
Still fine. Okay.
They isolated themselves underground and their
Sure.
culture stayed the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. So
So anyways, the meat grinder thing was horrifying, and then after that, there's a lot of running around and running away, and I think they eventually Tiger comes in and scares.
yeah,
all
Tiger
the rats,
Tiger
yeah.
saves Dr. Dithering, and there's this like Papa has this what I thought was kind of like an epic speech actually. that was so like this is what our times are about right now. This is like my favorite part of this not super great movie. I actually wrote it down because I was like, this is what we're talking about right now, kind of. And always, I guess, in the U.S. But he says, I wrote down the whole thing. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, but you have to deliver it like in character.
He says, stop! Enough! Didn't we come to America
Nope,
to escape
nope,
such madness?
Nope. I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
Read it in your voice.
In character, but no accent.
No. Just let him read it.
All right, fine, read it.
He said, didn't we come to America to escape such madness? Yet here you are, condemning someone based on lies and rumors. Don't you see? Don't you see? The enemy isn't Dr. Dithering or the Indians. It's them! Dividing us with hatred, ignorance, fear. And then the evil dudes pop in for a second and they say, don't listen to him! He's not one of us! He's a foreigner! And then Papa says, Mister, we're all foreigners. The only ones who really belong here are the Indians. All the rest of us have in common is our dream of a better life. All we got in common is America. Mic drop! Papa Moskowitz!
Papa Moskowitz!
Beer, beer, beer!
And then immediately he yells at his daughter, don't help.
Yeah.
And then he says, don't help, which in my notes I've written, don't help, the rallying cry of middle-aged white men everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
but I like that speech.
Also, I love that speech.
Yeah.
And that shows, like, the stark contrast of this movie, because also I have dem engines, this is a fucking quote. Like,
it's true.
But only the bad guys talk like that.
That's not fine.
But if you have, like, one of your characters say they're incorrectly, referred to as Indians, and then the rest of the movie they refer to them as Indians. Like,
and that shows that the bad guys are ignorant, and then...
No, the good guy, Dr. Dithery, says, oh, they're incorrectly referred to as Indians. And then the rest of the movie, him and
they
Bible
all say
and everyone,
they don't
they all say Indians.
At this
so
time,
why would you say that?
Because at this time, there's no such thing as the terminology of Native Americans.
So
at this time, he knows
in 1998,
you're telling me that the writers of this movie were smart enough to be like, oh, in the 1870s, they didn't have the term Native American.
Yeah.
They would have just said Native. I don't think so.
He knows it's incorrect, but he calls them that anyway.
No,
because that's the only way that anybody else will understand what the hell he's talking about.
You are giving these people too much credit.
Yes.
It would make more sense for them to suddenly say Native Americans and have people go, did they call them Native Americans in the 1870s?
They did a bunch of coke in 4 days and wrote this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I still say that Dr. Dithering and everybody else has to keep saying Indians, or else no one else is going to know what the hell they're talking about.
No, that's too much.
That's the only reason.
That's putting way too much thought into this story,
Right.
I believe.
Anyways, the union people organize. They vote Papa as the head of the union. The kids take Cholina back down, and the chief, who, by the way, Chief Uliso is played by David Carradine. He gives a speech
Hilarious.
about how no one, they got to stay underground because people up top aren't good enough yet. And so they give Tony and Fievel a bomb, and Tanya a bomb, because she
what was that though? What was it
time.
Supposed to be?
It was a gunpowder chamber. I think.
Yeah, but it looked like it was supposed to be something. But
it's almost like a.
It was like some sort of metal.
I think it's maybe a cleaning thing for a handgun.
Oh, okay.
And it's something where you put it on the hammer and
some sort of weird metal.
It's it almost looks like a lighter with a spur on top of it.
Yeah, something like that.
So, anyways, they blow up the tunnel and the water comes in, and they are able to escape the two bad guys.
Well, they're like, trap us here forever.
No,
it's fine.
So the Native Americans say seal us down here. Your world's not ready. You guys are cool, but no one else is up there.
Other ways.
But we have other ways to get to the surface.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Henry helped us out with that.
Henri.
So it's a depressing end.
Because they're saying bye to her forever.
Yeah.
And the people have to stay down there. The two main bad guys, the police chief and Scuttlebutt,
They die
in the mud.
I'm pretty sure they die.
Slide,
no,
yeah.
so here's
they fall into an abyss of water.
So this is the weird tone thing that this movie does, right? And and I didn't get to bring it up earlier when they're doing the so there's a fucking horrifying thing when there's this mouse Native American mummy that falls out when Fievel and Tony are on their spelunking date together. And it's dark, it's scary, but then at the same time they're doing these Abbott and Costello bits of woo, and then running in midair and speeding off, right?
Oh yeah, they go woo woo woo.
Yeah, they're doing the weird Scooby Doo Raiders of the Lost Ark vibe. The tone never quite gets there, right? And then so they detonate this thing. I forget. There's some contention in terms of who's detonating it. It kind of happens purposefully, accidentally. I forget who's trying to stop them. Anyway,
this is not important.
This thing explodes, and It looks like a subway tunnel. It looks like the chunnel collapses.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like, it's like, okay, the structure collapses, there's water coming from everywhere, and this is bad times.
Yes.
And so there was other people trying to get the treasure, like the fat rats think that there's something down there, scuttlebutt, whatever. And that all washes out. But it ends up being Tony and who? Just, they're digging through...
Tony and Tanya
make it up to like a ledge.
Yeah, Tanya
the water
finally
stops, and they're like, "Where's Fievel?" And so they start digging in the mud.
And what my thought is, like, are they digging through raw sewage to find a dead body?
Well, it was because like water.
That's what this looks like. It looks like they're digging through raw sewage to find a child's body.
It was water, and then it like immediately turned to mud in like a second.
Where'd the water come from?
They said there was a river above.
Oh yeah, it was an underground river.
The water quickly stopped. If it was a river, it would have completely filled up.
Maybe they're mice and they just don't know.
They don't know what it's because it's like oh we're digging through raw sewage to find a child's body.
It's a river of shit.
Yeah.
No wonder it exploded.
Yeah.
All the fumes.
That's what I'm saying. Is like that's the pendulum swing of this movie where it's like like Tiger is deputy or dumb shit. And like
he's the chief now.
Yeah, he took over as police chief.
Yes, he does that. He does that. But then like let's wade through shit to find a child's body.
I didn't think about that. I was like, oh, it's water and then mud.
And then it's like, but you know what?
I'm just as ignorant as the mice.
America.
I mean, yeah, so they find him, obviously. He's not dead. But they give up really quickly, and they start crying because they think he's dead. Yeah. And then Fievel pops up. And
he's
like,
literally right next to them.
But this each happens, like, each beat is only, like, 1 second. And so it's really awkward, because they're like, Fievel! Oh, God, he's dead! Oh, he's here! Like, it happens that quickly.
In that respect, Fievel gets kind of neutered in this iteration of the story, in that,
he's not even, like, none of the action is, like, really brought on by him. It's, like, Tony leading it,
right?
Or...
And that's the thing we very much praise in the other movies, where like it's his sense of adventure, it's his sense of
his sense of
stupidity.
Yeah,
no, I
want to wander off.
No, but it's wonder. It's like it's not. Yes, it is him wandering off, but it's not like I got there and I fucked up. It's like I'm throwing my hat up the stairs, or like I'm going out and finding. I mean, Five Goes West. It's a little bit different. He's
this movie was like. He's Tony being like, Philly, come here.
Yeah, I mean, but he still had a sense of adventure, and he still had a sense of justice, which I mean, I know that you guys don't like this movie, but I still think that the characters progressed. Like, this time when Fievel was like, he announced that he was going off to look for the treasure. And Mama was like, but I'm going to be so worried. And Papa was like, at this point, all right, fine, go with I and Tiger, you know what you're doing. Like, they've
I can't wait for the next movie where nothing is changed.
Yes. But they've progressed. So like, I'm curious to know what you thought of how they brought Tanya back into it, because it starts with like, Tanya, shut up, Tanya, don't do anything, and she's like, I just want to go on the adventure. I just want to go on the adventure.
Fine,
it feels like, oh, maybe like this is so the pendulum swinging this way that we're gonna make up for it in some way, and it doesn't.
They don't.
Do that.
Papa's just like, oh, fine, go with them. Like, it's dumb.
He's like, I'd rather you died.
But when she does go,
you're gonna make me spit out my drink.
It was stupid. It was dumb how he was like, fine, go, I don't care. But once she did go, she sort of proved herself as useful to the mission and not a hindrance in any way.
Did she?
And then once they bring back Chelina, Tanya kind of takes over this role of like throwing cold water onto Tony as well. Like, Tony keeps trying to hit on Chelina, and Tanya and Chelina keep, subverting
because Chelina and Fievel kind of.
She's like, keep it in your pants, Tony.
So, yeah.
I think she says.
Yeah, she basically says
she does say that.
She says, keep it in your pants. I think I remember that. I wrote it down.
But then even like at the very end, like, she kind of is like, stop acting like that. And he's
but Chelina finally gives him a kiss.
She does.
On the cheek.
But it was a nice gesture, since they're never going to see each other again.
Or will they?
Except from very far away, like way
through a telescope.
Through a telescope, yeah.
Are those... telescope. Yeah.
Through a kaleidoscope.
It basically ends with Papa Moskowitz making a big union speech. He's been voted the head of the union. Tiger's now police chief. And...
what happened to the fat rats?
The fat rats are still...
They're still there.
They
just have to respect the union now.
They're still there, and they're still getting carried around by mice.
Yeah.
That's right. I remember
at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So nothing's changed, except now they're like, do we really have to work with this guy?
Yeah.
Just like that.
It's setting up the sequel, I'm sure, which is going to be about...
Where it's be another dream.
Yeah.
I had a dream.
I had a dream that you were a union leader.
There were mice underground.
So
Silly
Fievel. Fievel gets a telescope from Dr. Dithering and sees that Chelina and Chief Woliso are all in well and watching over them from some secret tunnel. That
they go like...
through a statue, yeah.
Hey, I see you, and then that's the end of the movie.
That's basically it.
That is the end of the movie.
So...
Fade to nothing.
Any other thoughts on this movie before we predict the next sequel?
I just...
So many. I have so many thoughts on this movie.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny, and there are certainly parts that I was like, okay, they're trying to do something interesting, but overall the quality was much, much lower, and I just couldn't... I can't recommend it. You know, also, like, I don't know... Again, I'm going to say, the title of the movie is American Tail, The Treasure of Manhattan Island. And it starts off with, like, a treasure hunt. And then I feel like it goes wildly off the rails from there.
Yes, it does.
No, and maybe families that are sitting down, I don't know if anyone has even seen this movie, but, like, families sitting down like, oh, there's another Fievel adventure. I'm going to watch it with my kids. And then it gets pretty dark.
It gets super dark. It's not it's not for kids. Like, in a weird way.
Fievel is like dead for a little bit. Not really, but like in a kid's eyes.
Yeah, but that's happened to every movie.
That's not
I don't think he's been dead.
Yes, every single time.
We
see that he's alive. They think that he's dead. We
see
what happens to him.
This is the only time that we think he could have
No friends of his were immediately right next to him and go like, he's dead!
Yeah.
And then he wakes up.
That is a super, super common animation movie trope. Oh my god, he's dead. Oh my god, he's alive. Like, every animation movie has that.
Yeah, I just don't like it.
Sure, of course. It's exploitative.
I understand what you're saying. It's not handled well in this movie.
No, I agree. Yeah. I agree.
It's not handled. Nothing is handled well in this movie.
Sure. I mean, okay, go ahead and say your thoughts, and then I guess I can still say my hot take.
Yeah, Tyler, say your thoughts.
I think that this movie does so many bad. Like, if you're making a sequel, it does so many lazy, awful things to just throw things out, not respect where characters were when the last movie ended, and just say, you know what, this is the story I'm going to tell. And like, I made the joke about, like, it's Jimmy Stewart's last performance in the last movie, but it's like, oh, like, we're making a straight-to-DVD movie in the UK? Fuck that! Like, I have some shit about unions I want to say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't... One of the notes I have in here is just rest in peace, James Horner, because like the music is so bad.
Also, it's all just rehashes of the original themes.
And it was weird because they did rehashes, but the rehashes were not thematic. Like they would bring back the Papa theme or this theme, but it had nothing to do with the scene that was happening.
Also, it's a mere 3 minutes and 40 seconds before Somewhere Out There appears in the score.
Yes. And
they're still holding on to that one. People know this song.
It's the greatest example of taking, all right, well, I have these characters, we have the rights to these things, let's build this by committee and put something together that we think is going to, I don't know, put butts in seats. Because it has, like, adventure, like DuckTales. Like, it has, like, DuckTales movie, like, themes to it.
Well, you know, it's funny, because the director, the guy who directed that was, like, art department on Tailspin, art department on Spider-Man, like I said.
And that's my childhood. Like, I love all of these things, and, like, the timeline of this movie makes it just feel so dubious. And I feel like I said, that... Like, yes, it's woke. This movie is so far left, and and I love everything it's trying to say. I feel like that it misses the mark at every turn.
Okay, so I don't disagree with anything you just said. Like, I basically agree with everything you said. But still, hot take, I liked it better than Fievel Goes West. Like, Fievel Goes West, the plot just was all over the place. The physical comedy gags and the... Like, I just did not like it. This movie... this movie, I liked it better because it at least tried to have character development and a plot. It at least tried, okay? Where I feel like Five Goes West completely gave up. Like, this movie, I like that they brought back more of the human world and that humans were actually seen and active, whereas we mentioned in Five Goes West, they just completely
I think actually the humans were in this movie for just
I know, but when they were there, it was more interactive than in Five Goes West.
How so?
They were there for 2 seconds.
The whole beginning part.
And then never again, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, they mentioned
which, by the way, they made it farther than I thought, because remember in the first episode I said this like human layer to the world is going to be gone.
Yeah.
And like it's pursued to 3 movies.
We'll see what happens.
I know. I feel like 4th movie they did. They got.
They did.
They did. Deep Impact happens.
Oh God.
We're in the underground river with the mice.
That would be amazing.
I still think it was better. The characters grew and progressed instead of just doing the exact same thing that they did in the first movie, which is what I feel like happened in Goes West.
Not Tanya.
No, so Tanya's arc was not as good, but she still...
Tanya's has a less arc in this movie.
I agree, but I feel like
also she's just put upon the whole time.
Papa and Fievel had a better arc. Tony the Tiger are completely relegated to comic relief.
I feel like I totally understand what you're saying, and I don't think that Five Goes West is a great movie.
No.
I'm not contesting that, but I think that there's something interesting, and I guess Papa's doing the same thing, but like the hope of going west, the hope of them kind of like if you're serializing this, that's something that does happen in American Tale. It does make sense as, hey, we're going to expand this story. In the first episode, we're talking about the fable of immigration, making it this fairy tale of the beasts of the ocean, these different things. The Five Goes West doesn't necessarily harp on those themes as much, but the Moskowitz family kind of goes through that same arc of, well, this is our new reality. This is where we're at. Like, but we're risking it. We're going out there. We're striving for something.
Sure.
And in this movie, it's like we got here. It sucked. It's always sucked.
But we're gonna make it better.
No,
like,
by unionizing. This is like the animated version of The Jungle.
He doesn't have that hope at all.
He doesn't, but he gets there. He at the end, he's like, "I'm honored that you've." He falls into it unwillingly. But just because he falls into it unwillingly doesn't mean that it's bad. Yeah. He's gonna do it. He's in it to win it by the end.
I just think that they still have the.
It's America will crush you. Yeah. That is the theme of this movie.
It's a different immigrant tale. So the immigrants come to America. In version A, they go west. They keep going when they realize New York sucks. In version B, they're like, we'll stay here. We'll make it better. We keep working at it, which people actually did. Like, that was another version of what
his attitude
did. No, it totally wasn't. But that doesn't... just
his
because...
attitude was like...
His attitude is, shut up, Tanya.
Yeah, he's like, I'm
tired.
3 jobs. Before, I just could sell violins. I want to sell violins.
Before becoming a leader, a lot of people go through those kind of experiences. This is a children's
movie. We're talking about fables.
I know. But if... obviously, we don't have kids. None of us have kids, right? But if I was sitting there and it's like... Obviously, we could show kids both movies. But if I'm like, do I want to show a kid Five Goes West, which is all just like... potty humor, physical humor, and like fighting and, fighting to take over territory, basically? Or do I want to show them this super leftist, like, movie that might actually, like, instill some good ideals and, like, at least, like, promote acceptance and, like, justice?
Does it?
I don't know how many kids would understand what's going on in this movie, actually.
I don't think that they would.
Of course they wouldn't. It would totally fly over their heads, but, like...
So then why
but later,
bother with it?
Like, because you remember those things later.
Oh, yes, because the kids will come back and watch this movie like, I really remember the third American Tale film. It really made an impact on me.
Yeah, remember in
I'm
Fern
Gully?
Gully?
The Union.
But like seriously, when you think back on Fern Gully, you're like, oh shit, climate change.
Never seen it.
What? Oh, okay. Or when you think back on any of these, like just like when we watched the first American Tale, we thought back and we're like, wow, we didn't realize it when we were little, but this movie is actually this big allegory for the Jewish experience, or whatever. And like we realize that now, and like, yeah, whatever.
That's actually a great film, though.
Yes,
I know.
It's actually a good movie.
But all I'm saying is that I like this one better than Goes West. I'm not saying I like it better than.
We got that.
Okay.
Like, it's just that I understand why you like it, but it doesn't do the things that you like it for well.
Yeah, I just don't like the total disregard of the previous film.
I think that's something that we'll explore more with this podcast, but that it's to completely throw that out, to completely throw out, there was, as much as you didn't like it, there was character development in the second movie. And to completely just say, you know what, like, we're throwing that out because I have an idea and we're doing this thing.
We still want to tell... Well, okay, I was like, I think what they had was... they still have An American Tale,
right,
you know, as the main title, and then there's a subtitle. So they're like, we have to tell another American Tale. And someone was like, well, we still have other... the previous film didn't do a ton with the Native American mice.
Yeah, I literally have, we still have more Indian jokes.
Yeah, let's do something with that. But it's like, I don't know if they didn't want to do it in the West, or it was more expensive to draw that stuff.
What did Fievel learn in Goes West? That's my question for you.
He learned that you can just be yourself.
Yeah.
And you yourself are the hero. Did you watch the end of the movie?
Because Tiger had to completely transform into another species in order to be.
That's not Fievel.
But that's what Fievel watched happen and promoted and facilitated.
I don't know. That's not what they said at the end.
That's
of the movie.
not what they said. At the end of this one, they said that the real treasure is hope for the American dream.
I literally don't remember anyone saying that, but if they did, I believe
if they did, I was already checked out because I was so mad at this fucking movie.
They specifically said the real treasure is hope, and Papa Moskowitz was like, now we have hope.
I might actually go back and rewatch the movie to see if they actually say that.
They actually said that. Why would they make that up?
Because you so badly want there to be a treasure in this movie. I was like, where are the freaking jewels? I know they've got jewels.
They got jewels. I think that...
Last thought, and then let's predict the last movie. Go ahead.
Last thought.
Last thought. I think
Tyler gets the last thought.
I think that, again...
This is the final thought. Don't mess it up. Tell us the thought.
Again.
No, tell us the thought.
Shut up, Justin. Let him
Sorry.
speak.
Okay, good.
That this movie don't help.
Don't help.
Don't help.
I'm letting you
pass the healthcare bill.
Say the final
thought. I think that this movie is the poster child of everything that's bad about sequels. I think that this movie throws things out, it shoehorns things in, and whether or not it's trying to say something good or whatever merits that it might stand on, within the sequel of the other two movies, in the context of them, it completely bastardized them. It completely throws out the characters from those other movies and doesn't do it with any thought or any foresight, and kind of betrays you at every level. And I think that that's the thing that you can't do as we're talking about these movies going forward, where I want to praise clever ways of bringing the story forward, clever ways of changing these characters, and to throw everybody out and then to make everybody more cynical is the exact opposite of how you move a story forward.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt watching this movie, where, I completely agree with you, Eliz, that, Fievel Goes West is a complete departure of the movie that we enjoyed, of American Tail, but it's a thematic extension that you can at least on paper see how it makes sense. This seems like a cynical, I don't know, force feeding, or just it's putting a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit. This could have been a better children's movie. Yeah. It didn't need to be an American Tail movie. And to have it in that canon disrespects those movies. And I'm going to say it again. To be Jimmy Stewart's last performance, that was a dream.
Yeah.
And we're five dudes with 80 grand and making a directed VHS movie. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And like I said, their heart was in the right place. I think that I had to look it up while I was watching this movie because it's so lefty. I was shocked at how lefty this movie is. And I was all for it. And I was like, oh man, like 1992 is woke. And then when I found out it was 98, I was like, shit, man, like you're too late and you missed the mark. Like it's not, it feels so removed. It feels like someone's in a writer's room in Connecticut. And then like let's send this over to Korea and then like they'll Japan. Draw it and whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's just it doesn't the outline, if you look at the outline on paper, you'd say, hey, you know what? We have something here. But the way that it all comes together is mean, and it kind of throws out everything that was nice and magical about the other movies.
I think overall in all of our episodes, one thing, like you mentioned, that we'll probably continue to explore is, like, do you reboot everything or do you continue and have to figure out how you continue when someone has led the franchise astray? You know, like, so if we, like, whether or not you liked Goes West, if we sort of agree for the sake of argument that it went astray, they had to decide next, do we erase it or do we continue it from there? They chose to erase it. Whether or not that's the right decision, and for this franchise or any franchise, is something that we'll continue to look at. But
sure, I agree.
I almost would have liked if they had, not said anything about the last movie,
and just
and you would have been left up to your imagination whether or not
it's
they
secret
came back
prequel, right?
Yeah.
Like secret prequel.
Yeah. Okay, so what is the next one called?
Yeah, so you guys. Exciting news. We are on our way to the final film in the franchise.
Oh, we probably can't license that. I'm sorry.
I mean, you sang it so terribly. I don't think...
Okay, good. That's how we get around music licensing.
Don't rewind the episode. After you listen to it, it's done. You can't go back. All right, so we finally reached the final one. It's called An American Tale... The Mystery of the Night Monster.
Oh, God. Okay.
It's going to be a Sherlock Holmes type story that goes back to the Don Bluth Great Mouse Detective, and it's going to take place in England because
They've given up on America.
No, the whole immigration to America was just a dream.
I had a dream we moved to America. No, can't you see? We're still in Russia.
Yeah, can't you see? Oh, yeah, Russia. No, they made it all the way to England. Is what
right. Yes, okay.
So it's a mystery. So, yeah, I think it will be very typical mystery, Sherlock Holmesy kind of thing.
What do you think the Night Monster
I think the Night Monster is probably just some other animal that they think is a monster, and it'll turn out to be like an iguana or a snake.
I'm going to go ahead and guess that... I'm going to say that, against my better judgment, I'm going to guess that Tiger is still the police chief.
That's the continuity thread.
And Tiger is a bigger focus in this movie, and that Dom DeLuise is back, and that's why it's a bigger focus. I don't know these things. I have no idea. I haven't seen the movie.
I haven't looked it up.
And I'm going to guess that Tiger sleepwalks, and he's the Night Monster.
Oh, it's a Mr. Hyde. I like it.
Tiger is the Night Monster.
I like that we're all going Victorian, though. Like, and it's all just going back to, like, oh, it's European.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I want Bridget back and women's suffrage.
If they find another fucking map in this movie, and it turns out that there's mice in the sky floating around in blimps, I'm going to be pissed.
Nope. We're going to make Bioshock Infinite.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. That's going to do it for Sequel Rights.
Yeah.
We will see you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, before we go, though, make sure to hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/Sequel Rights, on Twitter, twitter.com/Sequel Rights or @Sequel Rights. And then you can also shoot us an email if you want to tell us that, you thought that Treasure Island was super great.
Yeah,
if you love Treasure Planet, if you love the movie Treasure Planet, send us an email. And the email is
sequelrights@gmail.com. We want to know whose side you're on between me and Tyler on this movie.
Is the third movie actually
Team Tyler?
Yeah.
Is it Team Justin, where you just let us argue?
I just make jokes. It is that's it, I guess.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.